Hello students, in this lecture we will study the inverse trigonometric function. So first of all we will study the sine inverse x. Clear? So if I talk about the first function, let us say it is case 1, and case 1 we are studying sine inverse x. This is. So what is the definition? The definition is the inverse sine function denoted by you write sine power minus 1, this is called sine inverse, or it is also written as arc sine. Arc sine, clear? And is defined as the inverse of restricted sine function. Sine function y is equal to sine x. Clear? This is. So it is and here there is some condition on x that y upon means pi upon 2 is less than equal to x less than equal to pi upon 2. This is the condition for x. Thus, what do you mean by sine inverse? Thus, y is equal to sine inverse x. Clear? Or y is equal to, you can say it arc sine x. Clear? Are equivalent to sine y is equal to x. You just shift this inverse, sine inverse this side, it will be sine y is equal to x, where minus pi by 2 is less than equal to y is less than pi by 2, and minus 1 is less than x is less than 1. Clear? So I want to tell you there are two important things about the sine inverse function. If you see about y is equal to say sine x, what is the domain here? If you see, the domain is R and range is minus 1 to 1. It is a closed interval. Now if you see, it is y is equal to sine inverse x. If you see sine inverse x, so the domain is what? It is the range for sine x, minus 1 to 1. Clear? But it is a restricted function. Clear? So range will be changed. Range will not be R. Range will be, it will be minus pi upon 2 to pi upon 2. Clear? This is condition number 1. So you need to learn what is the domain of sine x, it is R. What is the range of sine x? It is minus 1 to 1. Similarly, what is the domain of sine inverse x? It is minus 1 to 1. And what is the range of sine inverse x? It is minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. This is the range. Okay. So this is another important thing I want to tell you, that there are two important things I will tell you. One is sine. So sine inverse x is equal to x. Sine of sine inverse x is always equal to x. And here, please remember, sine will be equal to minus 1 to 1 because we are taking sine here. Sine means range will be minus 1 to 1. And if we are writing sine inverse outside, sine inverse, so now the output will be angle. Clear? So it is x, but the answer will be minus pi upon 2 less than x is less than pi upon 2. So if sine is outside, then the number will be, means range of sign will come. What is the range of sign inverse? It is minus pi upon 2 to pi upon 2. So this will be the answer. Clear? So this is about sin x. If we go to the means case 2, if we take case number 2 is cosine inverse x. If we study the case of cosine inverse x, so what is the definition? The inverse cosine function, the inverse cosine function denoted by, how it is denoted? Denoted by cos power minus 1, or sometimes it is denoted by arc cos, arc cos. Clear? And it is defined by defined by the inverse of a restricted cosine function. Restricted cosine function. Clear? What is restricted cosine function? It is y is equal to cos x. And the value of x will be here, comma. The value of x will be 0 is less than x is less than pi. This you need to remember. Thus, y is equal to cos inverse x and y is equal to arc cos x. They are both same thing. Are equivalent to cos of y equal to x, because if you will shift cos inverse this side, it will be cos y. Cos y is equal to x, where 0 is less than equal to y is less than equal to pi, while minus 1 is less than equal to x is less than equal to 1. This is just same like the sine inverse, but sine inverse was minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Difference was pi. Here also difference is pi, but it is from 0 to pi. This is the difference. Clear? So this is about the cosine inverse x. Now if we study the y is equal to cos x and y is equal to cos inverse x. If we study the domain and range, so the domain, if you remember, for cosine x is r, while the range for cosine x was minus 1 to 1. This you need to remember for everything. And domain of cos inverse x is same like the range there, minus 1 to 1. While the range is changed. Range is not r, it is 0 to pi. This you need to remember. So little bit change is there. And also one more thing, if cos of cos inverse x, it is always x, because cos and cos inverse cancel. Answer will be x. But the value of x will be number. Minus 1 less than x is less than 1. This is okay. But if you take outside cos inverse, cosine inverse, cos of x, answer will be x, no doubt, because cos inverse and cos cancel. But the output, because of cos inverse, so output will be angle here. This is 0 to pi. Clear? So this is what about sine and cos. Sine inverse and cos inverse. Similarly, on the same hand, we can study the tan inverse x also. So let us study the case 3. Case 3. So we will take y is equal to, means tan inverse x, and definition is almost same like sine inverse x and cos inverse x. Clear? Only what is the change I want to explain you. If you take y is equal to 10x, so what is the domain? If you remember, the domain was in case of 10x, the domain was r minus n pi upon 2, where n is an odd integer z. Clear? And what was the range? Range was minus infinity to plus infinity. But in case of y is equal to tan inverse x, that you need to remember. What is the domain? The domain, it changed to same the range, minus infinity to plus infinity. Although the range is different here. Range is equal to minus pi by 2 less than x is less than pi by 2. This is clear. And one more thing, there are two important properties. If you are taking tan outside, the tan inverse x, the value is x, but here it is a value. Value means minus infinity is less than x is less than infinity. And if we are taking tan inverse outside, it is tan x, the value will be x, but here he is talking minus pi upon 2 is less than x is less than pi upon 2. This is. So this is about the tan inverse x. Now I want to write here what is the domain, range, and means all these three things for inverse function. For the tan and cot, I have already explained you. So we will study here y is equal to cot inverse x, y is equal to sec inverse x, and y is equal to cosec inverse x. Clear? So what is the domain? The domain is it is minus infinity to infinity. The domain is minus infinity to infinity, and the range is, if we see the range, so the range is 0 to pi, and it is open interval here, it is not closed. Clear? So if you want to write this, it is 0 is less than y is less than pi, it is not equal, so open interval. If you see here, what is the domain for this? It is domain is mod of x greater than equal to 1, while the range is it will be 0 to pi, but y will not equal to pi upon 2. This is remember, because sine pi by 2, sec pi by 2 is not possible, because cos pi by 2 is 0. So sec pi by 2 is not possible, because 1 upon 0 is not a number. Clear? And the domain here is same mod of x greater than equal to 1, and the range here is it should be minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. Clear? But y will not be equal to 0. Why? Because sine 0 is 0. So cosec 0 means 1 upon 0, and that is not permissible. Clear? So after studying this, I want to tell you something about the trigonometric table. If you remember, we studied that table in the last week when we studying graphs of the trigonometric functions. Clear? So while studying all those things, so I explained you about the trigonometric table, And about this table, I am talking about this table. So here you are requested to please, this is the table. This is 0 degree, 30 degree, 45 degree, 60 degree, 90 degree, all these 180, 270, all these things are given for sin x, cos x, tan x. So I want to tell you, if you are reading value, what is the value of sin 30? It is 1 upon 2. The value of sin 30 is 1 upon 2. So if value of sin 30 is 1 upon 2, so what is the value of sin inverse 1 upon 2? It is 30 degree. Clear? So means you are reading sine like this, angle and then value, but inverse you are reading like this. This is inverses. Okay, this is how we are reading inverses. So sine inverse 1 upon 2, it is 30 degree. Okay, let us say cos inverse 1 upon 2. So see cos is this, 1 upon 2 is here. 1 upon 2, 60. So cos inverse 1 upon 2, it's 60 degree. What is the value of tan inverse 1? Tan inverse 1. So where is tan? Here. See, the value is 1 here. Yes, 1. 45 degree. Clear? So we are writing this 45 degree. So we can see the table. What is the value of sin 30? Come forward. Sin inverse 1 upon 2, go backward. This is the way how you are doing. So these things, this table you need to remember. What type of question we are asking in exam? Sin cos inverse 1 upon 2. What is the value? So sine. So you need to go backward. Cos inverse 1 upon 2. See, where is 1 upon 2? It is here. 1 upon 2 means 60 degree. Okay. Now sine 60 degree. So now we will move to 60 and then sine. It is square root 3 upon 2. This is the answer. Just like composition of functions in chapter 1 we study. Now another question I want to ask you. Tan inverse. Not tan inverse, we will take tan and it is sine inverse 1. What is this value? So if you see tan sine inverse 1, so 1 is here, sine inverse, it is 90 degree. And what is the value of tan 90 degree? Tan 90 degree is undefined. Undefined. This is how we are doing. Question number 3. It is cos inverse sine 30. What is the value of cos inverse sine 30? So here first we will check sine 30. Cos inverse sine 30. So 30 and sine, it is 1 upon 2. Now what is cos inverse 1 upon 2? So check in cos 1 upon 2 value is where? This is 1 upon 2. 60 degree. So look here. If sine is there, tan is there. Value is coming as a number. It is undefined by chance. Otherwise number. But when inverse we are taking, value is coming as an angle. Understand? Okay. One more question and last we will take. Let us take. It is tan 2 sine 2 sine 60. So how we will calculate? Tan inverse. Okay, 2 sine 60. 2, what is the value of sine 60? Sine 60, sine 60, sine 60. 60 sine, it is square root 3 upon 2. But you see 2 cancel. So what we are getting? Tan inverse is square root 3. And what is the value of tan under root 3? Square root 3. It is 60 degree. So the answer is 60 degree. So this type of question we are asking particularly in inverse. So if you want to good in trigonometry, please learn this table. This table is very, very important. If you will practice this table, inshallah, you will get good marks. Thank you very much.